Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniXTCG, and today we are going to jump into our set 3 coverage for One Piece, the card game, starting with a primer for yellow. I'm going to kind of break it down like I used to for set 2, where I'm going to be doing primers before the set drops, and then after the set drops, I'm going to start being able to go into better deck lists and everything you need to know guides and things like that. As for videos in general, I took like a 4-day break only because I wanted to kind of realign what I was trying to do. Dragon Ball Super is like my love child, but also problem child. I gotta figure out what content I can do that people actually want to consume like they used to. And then with Battle Spirits, because the format was already starting to get solved, like by the time the promos came out and stuff like that, it just is at a point where, it's not stale, but people still are looking very much so forward to set 2. So with that being said, we're back on track and we're gonna hop into the yellow. Wanted to let everybody know that if you want to support the channel directly, all you gotta do is like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's just kind of a thing right there, so we can keep growing. We're shooting for 10,000 subscribers. It'll happen, I know it will, and I'm happy that you guys are gonna be along for the ride and also, driving in the passenger seat, like for real, for real. So, that being said, we're going to jump in and talk about these cards. So, I'm gonna switch the view and we're gonna kind of talk about what makes yellow tick. So, when it comes to this archetype, I'm just gonna say it right here. Yellow is very interesting. Like, just a quick recap. We already talked about color identity in another video. Red is like power minusing, but it's also, it also has like rush, destruction, some destruction based off of power. And then you have blue being able to bounce and draw cards, and it has some pretty vicious counter step stuff. Green is about resource tapping and untapping, and then you have black being the destruction color, followed by purple having a mixture of everything in exchange for minusing dawn. Well, I'm gonna flat out say that yellow is like the color of wisdom. Yellow is information with a splash of a couple other things. It has some destruction, it has some rush, but it's mostly information and life manipulation. So let's actually look at the 2 leaders, because both of these leaders are viable if you were looking to play yellow right out the gate. And the first leader we have is Charlotte Linlin. Dawn X2, when attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand. If your life is at 2 or less, you may place up to 1 card from your hand to the top of your life area. So this is already setting up the chain of like just life manipulation. You're going to be able to take a card from your life, turning it into essentially a toolbox, and you're going to be able to put a card into your life, which could be very much so a trigger. And you're going to see as we go into this guide that that is the general feel of the deck. You are going to be, if you're playing Big Mom especially, you're going to be putting a lot of triggers into your life, so that anytime your opponent hits your life, there's going to be some positive effect for you and likely negative effect for them. Moving on to the second leader. This is the one coming out from the set, and that is Katakuri, Charlotte Katakuri. Dawn X1, when attacking, look at up to 1 life from the top of your opponent's life area, and then put it at either the top or the bottom of the life area. Then this leader gains plus 1k power for the battle. So he's going to be Dawn X1, and then he's going to get 1,000 from doing this. So he's going to be a 7k leader. So he's attacking that sweet spot. And we do like that a sweet spot. We do like the sweet spot of 7. But this also means he can actually attack Whitebeard at 1k over. Now Whitebeard runs so many 2ks, but this is still something that's going to push cards out of Whitebeard's hand, which is good. Now, the other thing about Katakuri is that because you are able to look at your opponent's life, you're going to know all the cards in there at some point. Just through the rest of the deck, through this leader doing its thing again, you're going to be able to know a lot of cards that your opponent has coming into their hand, which is going to give you more knowledge on top of what they're searching off their 1-drop top 5 searches and whatnot. So using Katakuri and having a good memory, you're going to be able to map out your opponent's hand, and playing with knowledge is a lot better than playing blind. You might not always have the cards to pull it out, but playing with knowledge at least knows that, makes it so that you can start looking at their plays at the same speed that they do for the most part. Now moving over, we're going to show you the search power. The first thing you're going to notice about yellow coming out the gates is that yellow actually has 2 top deck searchers. However, they are a little bit lesser in reach. Whereas most top deck searchers are going in for 5, some of them go down for 3 if they're a little more specialized. You can see here that Charlotte Pudding is looking at the top 4 cards for a Big Mom Pirate or a Sanji, and you're going to add it to your hand and place the rest at the bottom. Whereas moving on to the next one, we've got Charlotte Perospero, and Charlotte Perospero is only going to look on KO, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, and then you reveal it to 1 Big Mom Pirates and you add it to your hand. But you can also trigger it to play itself on the board. Charlotte Perospero is also a 5K, allowing it to go neutral with most leaders outside of Whitebeard. So on on trigger, which you can, like I said, put this into your life very easily with Big Mom and then fairly easily with Yellow in general, and you'll be able to play him, swing neutral against leader, just harass, and when they finally do get rid of it, you search your top 3 to get another card. So all in all, that's a really cool amount of floating. Next, you've got Charlotte Brûlée. And Charlotte Brûlée is going to be a blocker. 1K, so it's susceptible to pretty much anything. Like between its 3 costs and its 1K power, it's susceptible to almost any destruction in the game. However, your opponent can be swinging on you and then they hit you with life and then bam, you have a blocker on board. Now they have to use Dawn to get over that blocker, or you can actually just have something in the way. So you can see that manipulating your own life to make sure that your triggers fall at times that you want them to is very good. And by the way, we're on the trigger package now. You saw Charlotte Perospero, you're looking at Brûlée. The next trigger in the trigger package is Smoothie. Smoothie is a base 5K. You can trigger it by discarding 1 hand and playing it. That's awesome. And then when attacking, you may add the top card or bottom card from your life to your hand. This character gains plus 2K power during battle. So you're gonna go down by 1 card in your hand to play this. But you get a beater. The beater's gonna go up to 7K, and you're gonna be able to take a card from your life to your hand, which is going to be able to not only add a card, but depending on what you put in your life, if you already checked it with one of your mini effects, you're gonna be able to snipe cards that you want to take out of your life, put in your hand. Very nice. And also getting yourself a little lower in life so that Big Mom can start cycling things, or some of your other cards can have their bonus effects. All right, so then you're gonna move on to Charlotte Cracker. This is just another trigger card. It's a beater. And basically, you are playing him from your trigger once again by discarding a card from your hand and playing him. Dawn X1, turning him up to 6K. He's going to, if you have less life than your opponent, this card gains double attack and 1K power. So 7K double attack is going to be a pretty big beater. And 7K is already a good number, easy to harass. This is going to drain your opponent's hand ridiculously, because ain't nobody trying to take 2 damage at one time and then just get like wasted the following turn. And this deck is going to be able to put the pressure on. So that's actually a very strong card, and you can see that these cards are going to be able to be played from life. You are literally going to be able to amass a board by your opponent trying to push you in. And then we're going to move on to Shirahoshi. Not a Big Mom's Pirate, but a savage trigger card. On play, draw 3 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. Trigger, play this card. You don't have to discard anything or trash anything from your hand. So if you put her in your life, you are literally just going to filter 3. She's actually a +1 if you get her from the life, because she's gonna flop onto the field, a fish pun I guess, and then you're gonna actually just draw 3, discard 2. So this deck, between 2 searchers and Shirahoshi, you actually have a fair amount of filter, a lot more than we're always looking for, or that we're trying to normally have in most decks outside of like Red Zoro. So this is actually really cool. Then the last of the trigger bunch, we've actually got Sanji, or sorry, not Sanji, wow, I messed up there. We got Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt straight up says main, you may trash 1 card from the top of your life area, KO to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 5 or less. Whereas the trigger just says KO to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 5 or less. The reason why this is so crazy is because in Katakuri, you'll find that a lot of lists play this at 2, because you don't want to just get stuck with this in hand. But in a Big Mom deck where you are constantly rearranging the top cards of your life and shuffling things in from your hand, you are actually going to max out in most cases of this card, because you are going to be able to put it in your life whenever you want. It's like Gum Gum Jet Pistol almost. It hits pretty much most of the same targets. You are going to be able to constantly have your opponent walk into this, and that is insane. So next, we're gonna move into the rest of the cards. We got a couple utility cards and some boss cards, but I'd like to kind of weave in a quick little bit to talk about the sponsor. So So yeah, I was just trying to real quick remind you that there is a link tree down there where you can explore all the quadrants of Universe X. This could include my other channels, my Twitch, the Discord, the Twitter, the Instagram, but also links to help you build the best decks you can build. Whether it be my partnership code with Mystic TCG, UniX TCG, where you can get 5% off your total order by using the code UniX TCG, or you could just use the link and get that same outcome. Or my TCG Player affiliate link, where you can give a direct kickback to the channel by using that link to go find your singles. So with that being said, I'm just gonna play the advert from Mystic TCG, and then we'll move right back into the Big Mom Katakuri Yellow hype. So let's talk about Mystic TCG, your one-stop shop for all your TCG needs. On the site, you can buy or pre-order plenty of sealed product for plenty of games. Just make sure though, if you're pre-ordering, to give it 3 to 4 months in advance to start looking, because sometimes the product is indeed hot, supply and demand, And then if you want to buy singles, go on tcgplayer.com. There's going to be a link in the description where you can buy for the best value. And if you want to sell cards or collections, you can message them on their Facebook site so you can get the best bang for your buck on any type of way you want to buy or sell cards. And then while you're at it, you can use the code UNIXTCG at checkout to get even more of a discount. So hey, what are you waiting for? Check out Mystic TCG today. All right, so we've gotten out the leaders, the searchers, and the trigger package. So now let's move on to some of the utility. You got this 2K counter, Charlotte Pudding. On play, look at one life card from the top of your opponent's life and you put it at the top or bottom life area. Pretty simple. You're gonna use her more as a 2K than anything, but this card can actually work, especially if you have a really tight game turn. You don't need the 2 Dawn, and you want to map out the last card coming into their life. Like I say, they're at 1 life and 2 cards in hand. You can at least map it out and kind of see what you're working with. So there's that. We're gonna move over to the Sanji as well. Dawn X2, he's a 3K, Dawn X2, but he's also a 2K counter. So once again, what are you using him for? Dawn X2, when attacking, you may add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life. So this is breathing new life, into your life pool. You're gonna be able to take a card that maybe you don't want in there and then just move your top card of your deck to there, maybe the bottom, because you probably already stacked the cards so you know what the next card's gonna be. So then you can check that bottom card later to see if it's a card you want to leave in life or if it's a card you want to take in hand and switch for something else. So pretty cool. But now we're gonna move into the boss cards. It's gonna be the coolest part in my opinion. The first one we got here is Charlotte Katakuri, the 4-drop from the starter deck. He basically on play, look at up to 1 life card from the top of you or your opponent's life area and put it either on the top of or bottom of the life area. And then if you have less life cards than your opponent, this character gains rush. There's actually a lot to look at here. 1, he's a 6K. Just with 1 Dawn under him, he hits the magic number, and he's a 4-drop, so he's actually fairly easy to put out. He's not too cost heavy. But looking at the top life card of looking at 1 life card from the top of your opponent's life area, you can either check something that you just put down, which is excellent, or you once again can check your opponents to see what they're going to be putting in their hand when you give them that damage. More knowledge is just a stronger way to play the game. Knowledge is power. Information is king. So this is going to be able to, I guess in Big Mom's case, Queen. So this is going to be able to help you solidify your information or make sure you know what's on yours if you would just put a card there or you haven't seen that card yet. And then it gives Rush to yellow, which is excellent. Rush is the best keyword in the game in a vacuum. And so any deck that has access to Rush is just better off in general. And the art looks pretty BA, so that's that. Moving on, you have the 7-drop Charlotte Linlin from the starter deck. On play, your opponent chooses one of the following effects: trash 1 life card from the top Wow, they say card twice. Trash 1 life card from the top card of your opponent's life area, or put 1 card from the top of your deck in the top of your life area. This is what we call a Punisher effect in certain card games, where your opponent gets to choose the effect, and so they're always going to choose the one that benefits them the most. But both of these are pretty strong. In this game, since your life pool are cards that are normally going to your hand, both of these are kind of ridiculous. If it's giving your opponent a life, then you are not only bringing them further away from losing, but you're also giving them an extra card, because you're going to have to give them that card at some point. Whether it's in this turn, next turn, the turn after, you're going to have to attack, it's going to have to connect, and you're going to have to give them that card. So you're essentially bringing them further away from losing and giving them an extra resource. Whereas the other one does the exact opposite. If you choose, okay, well, I don't want them to gain life, so I'm going to trash a life, you are losing a card that would have otherwise been in your hand, and you're becoming closer to being gamed. So both ends of this effect are very, very, very strong. And she's also an 8K, so for 7, she's coming down and she's big bodied. That is pretty much the gist of that one. So moving on, we got the secret rare from next set, one of them, and that's a 8-drop Charlotte Katakuri. On play, put up to one character that costs 8 or less on the top or bottom of its owner's life area face up. So here we go. This is really cool because it doesn't specify your opponents. If you want to recycle a good trigger, you can put that card to the top of your life face up, and your opponent knows it's there, but they still have to swing into it regardless, unless they have an effect themselves that can remove it, like Kaido or one of these many yellow effects. But the other thing that's crazy here is that this can be devastating multiple times in a row. Because it's an 8 cost, you can end up hitting things like, things as big as 8-drop kids, 7-drop aces. There's a lot of cards that this card can actually touch. Now, on top of this card actually being able to touch those cards, if you stack your opponent 3 cards deep, like let's say you just are on a roll and you have 2 of this, and you already know they have a 0 cost in their life, right? And they're at 1 life, but they're getting close to hurting you badly. And you play Charlotte Katakuri and you stack like a Rush Luffy on top. And then you play Charlotte Katakuri again and you stack like a 7-drop Ace, or just something like a 3-drop Zoro. And now you're at your game turn. They have 3 life, 2 cards in hand. Or maybe they only have 1 card in hand, but they have 3 life. But it's 3 0-drops. You can swing for 7K, let them take a card, and you already know it's not added combo power, counter power, so you can swing for 7K again. Cool. Swing for 7K again. Cool. Swing for 7K again. And that's game, because the 3 cards that are there, you've known from your stacking effects and checking effects, are 0, 0, 0 counter power. That's pretty much where it's at there. The knowledge is going to allow you to play your things differently, because in this game, that is one of the ways you have to allot Dawn. You don't know what they're picking up from life, and so you have to look at the cards they have in their hand and then decide how hard you're going to come in with the Dawn allocation to your swingers. Well, with a deck like this, you're going to be able to stack very, very hard in their life, know what those cards are, and as long as your memory's good and your focus is on point, you can calculate how you need to be swinging, and that can be extremely dangerous for your opponent. It takes out all the guesswork. And then the last card we have here is Charlotte Linlin, the 10-drop. She is a 12K power. That's crazy. When she comes into play, if your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck at the top of or bottom of your life, and then you can trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life. You just trash it. So this is a huge momentum swinger. If you're already at 3 life, and which is pretty decent to stay around with this sort of deck, playing this card is a fine tap out, because you're going up to 4 life and you're trashing one of the cards they have, and you've already set up your life. So you could have a Brûlée to come out and block. You could have a plethora of things. You could have the Thunderbolt to smash one of the cards that they could be aggressing on you with. So playing this, as long as you're at a healthy life total, it's like the 10-drop Kaido. You don't want to play this when you're like at 1 life. That's just bad. But playing this when you're at even I guess at 1 life with this card could be good if your opponent doesn't have anything on board. But yeah, you could go up to 2 life and you put them down. This is a huge momentum swing, an absolutely huge momentum swing. And the fact that you're trashing the card, once again, you're getting another card, you're getting further away from death. It's the starter deck one on steroids. You are literally going to be able to make such a huge swing, and then next turn you have a 12K body to start swinging with. So all in all, Big Mom and Katakuri are going to come in and make quite the splash in this meta. Like I said, you're going to be able to have a great amount of knowledge with your opponent's life, which when you do damage is going to translate into a great amount of knowledge about your opponent's hand, allowing you to use every bit of Dawn at your disposal in a more efficient way to better pretty much just like outplay the opponent. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are excited for yellow next set. I'm thinking I'm gonna do CP9 black for the next video, but that's gonna be in a couple days because I gotta circle around between Dragon Ball and Battle Spirits first. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.